Alright, the script for Dark of the Moon is almost done. But Lorenzo, I'm a little confused here. It says that Brawl is supposed to get killed by Optimus.
Yeah, so?
Brawl sort of died in the first movie, so why would he come back?
Oh, no he's not. He's not the same Brawl as before.
Oh, you mean that literally? Or metaphorically? Cause if not, you're gonna make me sound like a massive racist, cause he looks exactly the same.
Nonsense. I am Desert Brawl now.
Could you at least change his head? Make him look a tiny bit more different? Because there's also a toy bro called Desert Bro that says that he survived.
No.
Why do you make things so unnecessarily complicated? Michael Bay, back me up here. Oh, sorry. I was counting the amount of money I was just given to add Brawl into the film. Ah! Hey guys, the Fire Brothers here, it's just me. My brother couldn't be here today and it's been a while since I said that, I just realized that. Because he's giving Bumblebee therapy after reading the script for the upcoming Skybound series. By the way, yeah, we're gonna get a Transformers Energon Universe TV series very soon, much like Invincible. And if you know anything about Skybound without spoiling it, Bumblebee doesn't get treated the best. But anyways, these are the jokes. I hope you guys are enjoying them. But anyways, today we're talking about Brawl. But more specifically, the bizarre way Hasbro refuses to let Brawl just die in the movies.
I've been waiting to recount this thrilling tale. Allow me to set the scene.
It's the year of our Lord Sideways 2007, and of course, Brawl is in the middle of Mission City, and then he gets shot a bunch by Bumblebee and then just dies. End of story, his body gets dumped into the ocean. Now that should be about it, but according to Hasbro, they're not really dead. Now look, I know that Paramount and Hasbro deal with the movies differently. You know, what happens in the comics and the novels and the toys typically doesn't have anything to do or doesn't really affect the movie stuff. A lot of the extra time material is kind of just there to like enhance the flavor of what we're seeing on screen. And I honestly been tempted to do a video on Transformers toy bios for quite a bit because they reveal some very strange things about the movies that you might not think about. One of the wildest things will be Brawl, which by the way I made a YouTube short talking about some 2007 Transformers facts. This one was one of the ones that surprised people the most, so I decided to make a video on it. Also, if you guys want more shorts, just follow me on TikTok, and yes, I do have a TikTok. So first off, I want to examine the lore from the toy bios. We're going to start with Deep Desert Brawl from the first movie. And it says, saturated with power from the Allspark and freed from the influence of Megatron, Brawl disappeared into the rugged land around the Hoover Dam, making his way over the course of months to the most troubled spot on Earth. He adapted his vehicle mode to the new environment, went to ground and waited, hiding in the deep desert. He soaks up energy from the blazing sun and emerges only to satisfy his hunger of destruction by attacking and annihilating human convoys and armored columns. He's a ghost in the desert, attacking randomly and without reason, and disappearing before human air power can arrive to track him. To those living in the region, he's a myth, but to those few who survive, he's a monster. Also, interestingly enough, the toy bio kinda implies that Brawl here is possessed by Megatron, which is kinda weird. Although to get the toy bio the benefit of the doubt, I can actually kinda do believe it that in a scenario without Megatron leading the Decepticons, the surviving Mission City Decepticons will probably just go off somewhere away from the Autobots, try to avoid them and Ness. The little story of Brawl also continues in Revenge of the Fallen, where it says that hidden deep in the driest desert on Earth, Decepticon Brawl waited for a new Decepticon leader to emerge. Though the Autobots searched for him, they never even came close to finding him. It enraged him that he was forced to hide in defeat. Now that Megatron has returned, he's ready to do battle again and determined this time to destroy as many Autobots as he can. This is one of those reasons why I wanted to make this video, because it's not very often where like Hasbro just outright makes a little storyline in the toy bios, especially from movie to movie. They kinda did that with Jazz 2, and he might be a video for another day. And you know, you guys might say, okay, that's kinda weird, you know, that there's a continuous story going on with Brawl being revived out of nowhere. And that would be weird enough if it wasn't for him getting yet another toy that expands this story. And I'm talking about the Desert Ruins Brawl, which is a pack that comes with a leader class Brawl and a little Jolt figure. And this actually reveals quite a bit. Dug in among a lost, shattered field of ruins in the baking desert, Jolt waits and watches advancing hordes of Decepticon warriors. Each one of them is a devastating war machine. While Jolt is trained more as a healer than a fighter, he focuses his attention on Decepticon Brawl, knowing that if he is cautious and lucky, he might have a chance to bring down the enormous, powerful Decepticon. And this lore right here is trying to tie into their battle from Revenge of the Fallen. Now, as we all know, we saw plenty of characters partake in that battle. Some of them were like reused characters like Bone Crusher, a bunch of long hauls, and a few more. But this toy bio also implies that Brawl was also there, and it kinda makes sense because there were plenty of human, tanks around there. So it would make sense that at least one of them could be a Decepticon in disguise, because we see these tanks at one point in the battle and then they disappear and we never see them again, unless they got destroyed by the Decepticons. And what better if one of them is an imposter? This toy bio also kind of explains what happened to Jolt and why he wasn't that prevalent in the movie. Jolt actually was in the battle, although buried in the background, you can see him right here. So what if while, the main force was dealing with the upcoming wave for the Decepticons, Jolt went to the backline and confronted Brawl, who was disguised as a tank. This will also explain where Jolt was over the majority of the Egypt fight, before suddenly coming back to merge Optimus and Jetfire. And pause, because by that point you're probably saying fire. That's just like some weird toy box they throw around. They have like no saying in the canon. And what traditionally that's correct. There has been occasions in which Hasbro has just stepped in and said like, no, this is not Devastator, this is actually Brawl. No, the assistants are not dead, they're still alive and you can buy their toy. And so on and so on. Which leads us to Dark of the Moon, where we actually see that Brawl appears in the form of Desert Brawl. But now, Brawl is not the only one that appears in the movie because there's two Desert Brawls. These guys are not very noticeable in the movie, but they're more noticeable in the Super Bowl TV spot trailer. They just changed the positions around a bit in the final cut. But Brawl is one of the first Decepticons that gets killed, and then the other copycat also gets killed before he goes up to Shockwave. And so marks the end of Brawl. Until Shadows Rising where he dies again. But hey, that's a game in an alternate universe, so that one doesn't count. And also, something else I should probably say before someone says that, in the wiki it's called M1 Abrams Decepticon, the Dark of the Moon Brawls. And look, I'm just saying that, yeah, that's their name for now, but in the future, I have a feeling that whenever Studio Series gets around to doing some more of the obscure Dark of the Moon characters, they'll probably give it a name and just canonize it as Desert Brawl. Because it's not uncommon for Studio Series to canonize some stuff that wasn't previously known, like this character here being Widowmaker, these guys being Shadow Riders. And I could totally see them just grabbing Brawl, making him brown, and then slapping the Dark of the Moon logo, and then say, yeah, this is actually Brawl. He survived, we're doing what the toy bio said, and he survived, the first two movies, and came back for Dark of the Moon only to get killed as a cameo. But now you guys are probably wondering, okay, so Hasbro went through all these weird, leaps in logic to keep Brawl alive and have him come back for whatever reason. Why for? The answer to that is as simple as money. Now, something you guys should know is that the movies themselves are kind of made to, promote the toys, You watch the movies, you are like, wow, I would like to have some of these guys in collectible form, and then you buy the toys. That's kind of what the point of the movies are, but typically when it comes to like selling characters and action figures, especially from action movies and stuff like that, characters that died in the movie typically don't sell as well as characters that survived the movie. This is one of the reasons why towards the latter half of Age of Extinction and The Last Night, we started seeing more Autobot characters than Decepticon characters, because typically the Autobots survive the movies while the Decepticons end up dying. This is also why we have a much bigger ratio of, characters that survive in a movie get more toys. I mean, look at Berserker from The Last Night. He survived and he only had like 5 seconds of screen time compared to Nitro Zeus, Onslaught Mohawk, and all the others. So Hasbro telling people in the toy bios that, hey, Brawl's actually alive. You can get his toy and, roleplay a story of what happens to him after the Battle of Mission City. That's kind of the main reason why, but unavoidably, Hasbro kind of created a weird timeline where Brawl survived. And unironically, you could actually say this is kind of canon, because we never really see Brawl's corpse post, his defeat in Mission City. It's like they shoot him a bit, they leave him there, and next thing we see Megatron and we see Blackout being dumped onto the Laurentian Abyss. But Barricade and Brawl are suspiciously absent. And of course, Barricade comes back in Dark of the Moon, so why can't Brawl also come back in Dark of the Moon? Although, I will admit that, like most theories out there for Transformers, this is one of those, like, headcanon-ish. Like, there's nothing saying that this couldn't be true, because there's nothing in the movies themselves that negate Brawl possibly somehow survive, because we've seen small shards of the Allspark, even small bits of energy, bringing back to life certain, machinery and stuff. And I mean, come on, Sam wasn't exactly careful with it. And it's one of those things that it seems pretty inoffensive. It's just like, oh, Brawl came back, then he realized that Megatron was no longer here, so he left to Egypt, he hanged around, waited for Megatron to return, got into a fight with Jolt, presumably got his ass kicked, came back in Dark of the Moon and got killed by Optimus for good this time. I mean, come on, I have made wilder theories and claims in the past, and this one at least has Hasbro's backing. But we'll probably have to wait until Studio Series decides to canonize this guy as Desert Brawl. And when that happens... But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Just a fun little explain/theory video. So when I made one of these and I want to make more of them, I have a bunch of more, theory videos coming up very soon. So if there's a Transformers theory or a character from the movies you would like me to explain, let me know in the comments down below and I'll probably make a video on it. But now I want to hear it from you guys. What do you guys think of Brawl surviving the Battle of Mission City? Is this a theory you like? Is this something that you feel like it's unnecessary? Or do you like the fact that Brawl lasted a couple of movies before being basically gunned down by Optimus? It's like, I like this theory. It kind of makes the world feel a bit more lived in a way with all these characters just, going around and doing all these things off screen. I think that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I'm like, if you're gonna revive Brawl, I wish you would have done something more with him instead of just, having him be alive just to sell more toys. But hey, I didn't write any of this. But anyways guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully you all enjoy. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that annoying YouTuber stuff the algorithm likes so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, guys!